All right, we have the meeting recorded. Do you guys have any topic you want to add? Actually, right now I have a few topics.
Another one.
Yeah, so I think we already talked about we're not going to have the meeting in 2 weeks and in 3 weeks. And the governance PR has been out for review. I think we kind of addressed all the comments. We got actually some approval already. So I just want to talk to you all about the process to approve the governance PR. I think last week Daniel was very leaning towards starting a separate issue just for approving of the governance. I'm okay with that. I'm also okay with just approve it right in the GitHub. I think his perspective is, what if other people make a change before I approve? Then you can't really prevent that. Does anyone have any thoughts on this?
Create a separate issue, or
So his thought is we just create another issue on voting for this particular PR. It's kind of like the initial governance, and then record people's votes. So the issue, the whole purpose of that issue is just record people's votes.
Yeah, it's a way to announce that there is a vote and when it starts, and B, to record it. I think the advantages are it's easy to search. So folks can say, okay, well, there's a vote going on because something that has this label is open. Second, if the vote fails on a PR, you've already got all the votes registered. You really probably need to close the PR or ask everyone to go through and devote, which is awkward. And then when you change the PR, you've lost the context of the previous one. If a vote fails on an issue, okay, you close the issue, it didn't pass, fix up the PR, call another vote. It's much easier and context isn't lost.
That's a good point.
I think those are two good reasons why Denyen's idea is probably what we should go with.
We can also do a comment. How do you vote with the emojis? You can just do another comment on the PR saying, please vote on this comment. And then you can do another comment if you need another vote.
Yeah, we could do voting on specific comments. Then not only do you have to...
No, I don't mean like a comment. You know how you could just add a comment, not about anything on the PR? Just a comment.
Oh, like this at the end to say, please
vote. Yeah, exactly.
Cast your vote for this PR as today, and then people can give thumbs up. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, just
you can explore that, right? So basically you can do like this, and then if we got, so we can see who thumbs up, and then that can serve as passing the vote. Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm proposing, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's lighter weight, in my opinion.
So in this case, would we add a label to the
we could
PR then? Voting is open?
We
and that way people can search it. I don't think we have that label yet.
We can create one. Yeah.
I like this because it serves as kind of a timestamp, and if more commits are pushed after the vote, you can add a new comment calling for another vote.
Yeah, you can add a new comment, exactly. Okay, let's do that. I actually like it. Make it simple. So did I create that issue up for vote? All right, so with that, we can go back to here and assign the label up for vote. And then if you guys are good at this, we can start to cast your vote. I will also pin Tyler and Kevin, see if they can cast their vote as well. All right, let's go with that. Thank you so much.
We should check I think this PR describes voting in the other method, in which case we need to update the PR right quick before we call the vote.
Yeah, I don't think we did actually. I don't remember checking on that. Let me double check. Yeah, I don't think we said you have to do the vote by opening an issue. We just say we need those.
The voting is covered above.
Okay. Oh, okay. Call to vote to submit. Okay, I will change this quickly then. Then we can call that.
Yep, sounds good. Sorry to be like pedantic about
No,
it.
no, that's great. So a vote begins when an issue with the label issue that has a comment with the label up for vote. It's submitted when a PR that has a comment. Something like that, maybe? Yeah. Okay. So Ian, maybe you and I can finish this offline, then I will remind everybody to vote.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. All right, so that's the first thing. The second thing is the contributor letter. Thank you all for commenting on that. Because this is not like a governance document, I don't need everybody to approve. So if there's no major objection from anybody, Ian, maybe you and I can work offline, get this review and approved. I think I was very happy to see Kevin already approved it. So that was very nice. Yeah. Does anyone have any major objections? I think Jenny, you also reviewed, so thank you for that. All right, the last one, probably an important one. So Yuval, actually, do you want to do the screen sharing? Should I let you do? Or?
I'll start with a little background, then we can, if we want, we can transition to screen share.
Yeah.
I should have presented it in our earlier, but took a bit of time. So this is the initial implementation of the plan to migrate. That is based on the concept of the opaque extensions, where downstream extensions can contribute CRDs that are opaque to the gateway, right? And that way, because we have glue with all our proprietary stuff, we can still keep that, and none of that proprietary things will appear in open source. We could review the PR if you would be helpful, I guess. I don't want to take everybody's time. If people are not interested, we can also do it after this call to a smaller forum. But if everybody wants to hear, I can share my screen and do an overview.
So I guess, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to go through this now or later. I think just from the description, the thing that's sort of interesting to me is if a plugin adds a CR, another plugin also tries to add that CR. Like let's say, right now we're thinking of like solo building on top Kate's gateway, but let's say, someone else does another extension, we want to go on top of it, or you want to, someone contribute something.
So extension is a PR. It's kind of modeled after the gateway API, right? Where each policy, its own CR. Yeah, I said PR, I meant to say CR. So currently the rates, I think we can change it if we really want to, but I don't think we'll want to. Basically, that's the gist of it.
Gotcha. So each like extension ref type thing would then take the opaque policy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Lynn, what do you think? Do you want me to review this, or should we do it offline?
Maybe do a high-level review. I was thinking that might be beneficial for everybody, and then some of you might be more interested in a detailed level of review also.
Okay, let me do that. Let me just share my screen. If it disconnects, it's because Linux crashed.
Okay.
One sec, I have a Brazilian VS Codes here. Here we go. Did it crash? No, it's working. Wow. Can you see the screen?
It's presenting. Yes.
Okay,
we do.
perfect. So the change, there's a lot of stuff changed. Basically, needed to add a new IR layer to replace the proxy layer. Sorry, what is this? Let me open an example of a route IR, just so you see what I mean. So gateway APIs have, their objects, and when we translated them into Glue, we added these route options that carry the policy information. To replace that, for objects in the gateway API that have an ability to attach policies on them, I create an intermediary IR, and the IR kind of basically looks the same like the original object, but also has this attached policies structure that's just a map to all the policies CRDs that are attached to them. So that's kind of one layer, is that we represent the gateway API objects in a way that's kind of similar to how Glue represents them, where the policies are embedded in them versus, Emerly. And now the question is, how do we kind of combine the two, right? So for that, there's a plugin interface that I was previously in. Oh, here it is here. And what this tells us, this plugin interface, basically a plugin can contribute, let's ignore those middle ones for now. It can contribute either a plugin for a gateway or a plugin for an upstream. And it also can contribute policies, right? And because all the policies use this policy wrapper object that is the same across all policies, it opaquely contains the policy, right? So the real policy will be here under it, this meta v1 object. Actually, let me click through it so you'll see. But all that, it's opaque, right? The type is not exposed here. I do have the target ref exposed. And the reason that I have those is because now I can opaquely take all those policies and attach them to the objects, to that IR objects that I showed you before, right? So as a upstream, as a policy plugin, you give me a collection with your policies wrapped with this policy wrapper IR, and then I can automatically, read all your target refs and attach them to the correct places in the system. So that's kind of the basis of how this works. And this is a very high level view. So let me show you maybe an example. And I'm not going to go too deep just because I don't know how many, how much it's interests everybody to go deeper. But if we look at this upstream that implements AWS and static upstream, you can see that it creates the policies. Here we go. Where's the policy collection? Sorry, too much code. Oh, in here. Never mind. This is upstream. It's not. I'll look at the direct response one. Sorry. This the upstream doesn't contribute policies. It contributes upstream, which is the different subsystem. But I want to focus on the policy now. So let's look at this direct response instead. So you can say I created direct response KRT collection, but that's not what I pass into the system. Instead, I wrap it in this policy wrapper, and I just kind of put the policy inside it, but it's not exposed to the rest of the system, right? And then when it gets called, I can get the original. I get this is like the translation for the route. I get the translation context, similar to how our plugins today get the translation context, and the policy is in the translation context because it was automatically attached by the new translation subsystem, and then you could just kind of apply it the way you used to. So that's the gist of it. I don't know if I should go any deeper, but any questions?
Would be really nice to have a diagram to help us visualize this.
I can work on that, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And so the way that we're making sure that our new plugins or like new configuration is able to be, affecting multiple things at once is that it's just like our old plugin system whereby a plugin may affect disparate, final Envoy configuration output because it just registers itself that way. So that way we can still have one to like many side effects, and since they're still isolated, in fact, will force us to be more better at our isolation, to have less side effects between plugins for better and for worse. Yeah, I like that in general. I had a question, but now I'm forgetting it. Sorry, so I rambled off.
So Yuval, just ask, would this help us remove all the glue references in the API?
Yes, because what I haven't shown, because I don't want to go too deep, I also rewrote the glue translation to translate directly from this IR to XDS. So I didn't remove it now just because the PR is already massive, but we'll get rid of anything glue related. Protobuf, solo kit, translation, everything.
And by doing this, we can then have higher order objects that the control plane knows how to decompose and feed other plugins, right? Is that's sort of the idea to be
So,
able to...
what do you mean other plugins?
So at some layer, the ability to register some CR with some decomposition as well. So if we want to have the same API expressed in different ways, such as a legacy CR that now would be, like config, we're going to have some level of config explosion, right? Where things are lots of small policies, but we can still have an engine where we have higher order objects which you can decompose into the policies.
So let's say glue route options, for example. There's a lot of micro plugins in glue that implements each field of the policy, right? This system doesn't work this way because I am opaque. I can't see the fields. I have to treat it in the CR level. So as far as Kate's gateway is concerned, route options is one plugin. But if route options wants to do its own internal plugin system, that it can do that. I think that's your question, right?
Yeah, I think that's the answer's a lot about the form factor, but I was also thinking about there was some discussion of how we can leverage the IR sort of model to still support things that aren't sort of a one-to-one. So if there exists some CR that has overlap with existing with sort of a known plugin in the OSS model, is there some conversion strategy that we're also thinking of? It's probably just a separate subsystem, right? Where
I'm not sure. If you have an example, it'd be easier for me to understand.
So if there's some classic glue glue edge CR is registered, sort of in this model, we can't, unless we have some decomposition engine, we can't really reuse the open source plugins, right?
I mean, we could expose them as public functions if that's helpful, but it's really be easier to talk on an example because I'm not sure I'm getting.
I'll come up with one just that better hopefully either illustrates my point or solves my question for me. Then I guess the only other question, it's good that it's very composable. Do we think that there's any do we need to consider the CR explosion question? It's like today we have some very large CRs that have many fields, and now we're going to a model. As you said, it is more of what the general community is doing, but like
We're not necessarily going to any model, right? I'm not saying we need to have 20 CRs. We can still have the same amount of CRs exactly. The only thing I'm saying that the scope of a plugin is a CR, right? It just means we'll have bigger plugins, which is fine. I don't think we need that many plugins anyway, if you ask me.
Okay.
So this, this doesn't say anything about the form factor. In fact, I believe the plan is to continue supporting our existing CRs, right? With this.
Yeah, and that's why I was trying to like understand to some degree, as well as also just like what the general guidance for more like since a plugin is a CR now, trying to think of like how many sub-nested plugins within a plugin will have, or how many pieces of functionality will exist there. But, yeah. No, I'll have to look at this a bit more. I think it makes sense, of course, because we talked about the general basic plan, but just need to spend some time. So I'll stop monopolizing for now.
That's exactly my goal with this draft. It's crashing, but it's good enough to get feedback.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yuval, for taking us through. Ian, I just realized you have a topic on the org automation. Do you want quickly take us through that?
I just wanted to mention, if folks are interested in that topic, they can look at it. If folks would like me to review it at all, I could as well. But just sort of a call out that it exists if you're not following the community repo.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you so much for the work for that. The last thing I added as a quick topic is we have 30 minutes left. I would love to get your perspective on the charter document that Ian put out for review, particularly, so Yuval and Nathan, this as well. I think you guys probably, we want your input about the kgateway. We all understand its control plane. I think what's the contention is the data plane portion. So, because in the charter, we kind of document the scope of the project. So my understanding is the kgateway is both control plane and the data plane. For the control plane, we only support running in Kubernetes. Data plane, it could be running outside of Kubernetes. So we'd love to work with you to understand the scope we should be identified for now. I mean, it's not like we can't change the scope down the road. I'd like to capture what we have right now.
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Generally, I would say let's start small and expand versus start big and fail.
I agree. Yeah. Nathan, were you making similar comments too?
Yeah, except for I was about to say what the state of the world is, in my opinion, which is that the data plane piece, we need to finish the donation of that, but its scope should be this data plane repo exists purely to serve the kgateway control plane repo.
Right.
There's no extended sort of commitment past that.
Yeah, it's like zTunnel, right? It's part of the project. It just happens to be a separate repo for technical reasons.
Yeah, like zTunnel, Istio proxy. It's part of Istio, and the purpose is only serve Istio. So you guys are okay with the kgateway is a control plane and data plane, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's some
upstream Envoy, we still take ownership for it, right? We still the data plane for that.
Yeah, and there's certain features that are non-upstream Envoy that we're maintaining, such as really notably our transformation filter.
Right. Yeah, but I'm saying, let's say, even if we ignore that, even if we use upstream Envoy, the product itself is still a data plane.
Right. I also usually have to compose them manually, which is going to be really hard to use.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So Ian, maybe we can work offline, get the charter merged as well, because I like to see us merge things a little bit faster. All right. I think we're right on time. Thank you all for joining. See you next week. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.